Alright, guys. So this is the other fanfiction idea that you guys voted on, and yeah, voted on over on Patreon. I mean, and as always, if you guys like to, if you guys want to just join in on Patreon and just do polls and also check out check out movie reviews, just hit the link below. Head on to my Patreon and just hit the first tier. And yeah, but if you want to do like Patreon requests and whatever, hit the 4th tier for that one. Anyway, so, yeah. So this was a fanfiction idea poll on here that I put out, and I'm actually kind of happy this one won by 42% of the vote, and that is Moon Knight, Captain America, All-American Gods. Obviously a bit of play on to the American Gods comic, or American Gods series, take your pick. But basically what it is that, also if you're wondering, before we get into the story, what this is this MCU, is this comic book? This is comic book. In fact, this is a story you could literally see in the Jed MacKay run or in the Captain America books after this whole Cold War event ends. Like, it could easily be, actually I think it'd be more in the Jed MacKay Moon Knight book. But yeah. Also, if you're wondering which Captain America is this is Sam Wilson. So, yeah, it's Moon Knight, because I don't think Sam and Moon Knight have met. I really don't think Moon Knight and Sam Wilson have ever met, they have met, I take that back, but they haven't really interacted much. There isn't a lot of interaction between Sam and Mark. But anyway, so let's get started with the story. So, this story begins with Sam Wilson infiltrating a cult that has been rounding up activists, whether they be for human rights groups or dealing with race relation or humanitarians. They're being rounded up, or even like spokespersons for like trans community or LGBT community. It's the same community really, but that's neither here nor there. Anyway, they're basically like people who are leaders of these groups, and and Sam infiltrates this group, and it's a bunch of like redneck backwoods, like these guys are a step away from wearing a white hood kind of thing. And it turns out after Sam has infiltrated them, like he's in the costume and whatever, just kind of watching from afar, he's seeing that these people are like sacrificing these activists to what they call the God of Patriots. And yeah, and he's like, God of Patriots, what's that? So Sam does battle with these guys, saves who he can from these guys, but they're like, the God of Patriots, you're nothing but a false messiah, Steve Rogers is the true messiah of the God of Patriots. They're totally all in on this. And he's like, and Sam's like, and I bet the God of Patriots is orange, right? And he's like, no, the God of Patriots is our God. He is our new God. He is the true God, and he will be America's God. And Sam's like, I don't understand any of this. So he's talking to Misty. He's talking to Misty Knight, and he's like debriefing her on. He's like, I don't know what this God of Patriots they're talking about. It's weird. I don't know what's going on, and I need some expert help. And she goes, well, maybe you should talk to someone who knows about God stuff. And he's like, cool, I'll go talk to Thor. And he's like, well, maybe not talk to a god directly. Maybe talk to, like, these people are followers. Maybe you need to talk to a follower or maybe a priest to get rather than get the god's eye view, you need to get the follower's eye view. And he's like, well, I don't know anybody who would be, oh shit. So Sam has to go, like, there's only one person who could be, like, on that level of follower, and it's Mark Spector. So, Sam goes to New York to meet at the Midnight Mission to meet Moon Knight. And of course, the Avengers already let Pam Grier, who's Tigra, because in the comics, Tigra's hanging out with, Moon Knight, aka she was spying on him for the Avengers, but he already knew that. And Tigra's like, Sam, good to see you. She's like, it's cool to see you back as Captain America again. And all of the rest of Mark's cast are all there, and they're like, cool, you know, it's really cool to meet you, Mr. Wilson. Or do we call you Cap when you're wearing the suit? And he's like, Sam's fine. So Sam is like, where's Mark? And he's like, he's upstairs. So Sam goes to talk to him, and he's like, all right, let's get. Mark's like, okay, Sam, or should I say Cap? Let's get this introduction over. I'm Moon Knight. How can I help? And Sam explains. So I ran into this cult not too long ago, and they call them, and they're worshiping this thing called the God of Patriots. I did run it by Thor, and he knows nothing of a god. Before I came here, I did decide, like, he's like, yeah, I did decide to talk to Thor real quick and see what, like, is there a god of patriots? And he's like, no, there's no such thing. So these people are claiming to follow a god called the God of Patriots, and I don't know what that is. And he's like, well, and he's like, I think they're crazy, but Misty said to come talk to you. And he's like, Moon Knight, like, basically says, maybe it's a god formed from mankind. And he's like, and Sam's like, I don't understand. Moon Knight, like, Mark explains that, like, sometimes belief is so powerful in something that mankind's imagination can give life to nothing. And he goes, we're a species that literally, in the span of under 60 years, we went from flying planes to putting people on the moon. And from there, we have literally made and that's just stuff, you know, that human history acknowledges. We've made super soldiers. We've gone to space and encountered cosmic rays. We've split the atom. We are a species that could, if we put our minds hard enough to something, we could literally create, in theory, we could create a god. And maybe these backwoods idiots have, like, put their belief in their god guns and more guns belief into making their own god, since they know their own god, their original god, is too liberal for them. So, yeah. So he's like, so yeah. So what do we do? And he's like, well, that's all I needed to know. Like, I mean, that's all I needed to know, Mark. I'll just go on my way. And Mark goes, oh, hold on, I'll get my costume. And Sam's like, excuse me? He's like, yeah, I'm gonna come with, like, I'm coming with you. As a priest of Khonshu, I have to go and investigate if there's a new god in town. And he's like, you don't have to do that. I came here for your advice. I didn't ask for a team up. And he's like, what? Okay, Sam, why do you really not want me to come with you? And he's like, okay, you want to know, Mark? You almost killed the Avengers, and then let your god rule the world. Furthermore, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. I know that you crashed a building you crashed into a building with a helicopter a week after 9/11 happened. You cut off people's faces, you scare people, and you're a murderer. And I can't trust and furthermore, I can't trust what personality I'm talking to. I don't know if I'm really talking to Mark or Steven or Jake. And Mark's like, understandable. But you have never dealt with gods before. I have. So if you want some more help, I will come with you. I'm going to come with you. And even if you don't, I'm just going to go anyway, because now I'm curious. And the last thing you need is a curious Moon Knight who isn't teaming up with you. And he's like, son of a bitch. All right, come on, Mark. So Mark gets it out of his Mr. Knight costume and into his Moon Knight costume, and him and Sam team up to go find more about these worshippers of the God of Patriots. And Mark and Sam just kind of have more conversations about, like, godhood and what else could mankind be. And furthermore, they find more stuff about it, and it's like, yeah, they've basically perverted, like, Christianity and Catholicism and made it into a new twisted religion where God wears a red MAGA hat. How wonderful. And he's like, I swear to God, if it's the previous president, I'm going to enjoy cracking my fists on his face. And Mark's like, me too. So they eventually find the house of this god, and surprise, it's somewhere in the deep south where this priest has basically enamored all these, like, white supremacists and, you know, all these like all these people to put their belief into something grander, which is a new version of God. And the God of Patriots shows up. It's like this angel with like the like an angel with wings with the stars and stripes on it, and it has like long hair, and it has an AR-15 in its hands. It's just this most disgusting thing you will ever see. And even Sam's like, I am so looking forward to punching this now. And Mark's like, me too. Like, he's like getting into it. And then they're like, it's the false prophet. It's not my Captain America. And that's when Sam just throws the shield and knocks the priest out. And he's just like, I usually take a moment to ask what the problem is. But you idiots all look like you can barely say what 2 + 2 is. I'm not going to feel bad about hitting you all. And my friend isn't either. So Sam and Mark go through these people until they reach the God of Patriots. And the God of Patriots is like, why do you want to hurt me? And he's like, excuse me? He's like, I'm a god, but I can't. I've only been around for a week. I don't understand why you want to hurt me or why you want to hurt my followers. And he's like, and Mark puts out this idea to Sam that, like, he's a young god. He doesn't understand what he is yet. And that's when Mark poses, you are a god of patriots who stand up to these people. These are, you know, people who are going to kill you. These are your false prophets. Your real prophets are out in the street trying to or in the halls of government trying to make things better. When people cry out for like a hero who will save them from a government that will step on them, they call to you. Those are real patriots. When a soldier is fighting for his brothers and who he loves, that's your religion. Like those are your patrons. And the God of Patriots goes, oh, thank you, and flies off. And he's like, Mark's like, yeah, it's nice to have a new god. We just gave purpose to a new god. So by the end of it, Sam is just like, did you do the right thing? I was like, he's like, I thought you were gonna want to hit it. And he's like, nah, it's a baby, and it's not every day you get to influence a god on what he does with his life. So yeah. So by the end of it, Sam's like, look, listen, Mark, I'm glad you came along, because I was gonna fight him and probably would have died. And Mark's like, yeah. You know, from you're, you know, in a way, he's your avatar now. Like, you're the God of Patriots avatar. In fact, like, in that conversation he has with the God of Patriots, he even points at Sam and goes, he wears your colors because he's in reverence of you. And Sam's like, wait, that's not... And he's like, just playing along with it. So he's like, so now, as the avatar of Khonshu, you're the avatar of Patriots. So have fun with that. And Sam's like, I'm not really a religious guy. And he's like, neither was I, and then I found God in Egypt. Be thankful your God's a little more naive than mine. So, there you go. They part ways by the end of it. So, yeah, there you go, guys. That is Moon Knight, Captain America, All-American Gods. I'd like to thank everyone for voting on this. This is one I was hoping for that would win, because I had this idea. And like I said, this is a story you could see in Jed McKay's Moon Knight run. But anyway, you guys tell me in the comments below, what did you guys think of it? Just comment below, let me know. And once again, hope you all enjoyed this, and I'd like to thank everyone for voting on this one. Other than that, hope you all enjoyed this. I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.